Today is the feast day of a real powerhouse in the church, Saint Hilda, Abbess of Whitby. Hilda was born an Anglo-Saxon noblewoman in 614. After her father was murdered by poisoning when she was yet an infant, she and her older sister were raised in King Edwin's court. King Edwin was her great uncle. He was widowed, and then he married a Christian princess who, as part of her entourage, had with her, as she entered into this household, a Roman monk named Paulinus. Paulinus was originally sent from Rome to Britain to accompany Augustine of Canterbury. The king and his entire court converted to Christianity as a result of this marriage and Paulinus's presence. And so Hilda, at age 13, was baptized alongside her sister and her great uncle in a small and hastily constructed little church building, which is now where York Minster is, not at all small or hastily constructed. Hilda then served in her uncle, the king's court, for many years before she returned north to her native area to join a monastic community when she was invited to do so by Aidan of Lindisfarne. Hilda founded Whitby Abbey when she was 33 years old. It was part of a whole network of monasteries and abbeys that were under her care and authority. And as I read more about her story and her many gifts, there are three aspects of her life that I'm finding particularly inspiring today. First, Hilda had a gift for administration, a gift for managing people and projects and business enterprises. She oversaw a whole network of monastic communities and properties and business operations in such a way that leaders throughout the community would seek her wise counsel in administering their own affairs. Now, in my home, we can hardly plan Thanksgiving dinner without a series of schedules and spreadsheets and Post-it notes and recipes spread out all over the table. And she didn't have Post-it notes and a computer and a cell phone to text last minute. How did she do that? She must have had such intellectual gifts, such interpersonal skills, delegating trust in the people she worked with, that she could build and lead so many enterprises, creating resources for people in the community. Second, I stand in admiration for her love of Christian unity, for her obedience, for the sacrifices she made. As she labored to host a prestigious gathering of all the important church people for a synod taking place at the very Celtic Abbey of Whitby in the year 664, she also was certainly doing a lot of emotional labor in order to accept the decision that was made there. She's hosting this huge conference, if you will, where they are deciding between following the Roman tradition or the Celtic tradition about many things, most especially, and most confusing, the date of Easter. And in all of that, she is Celtic in her upbringing, in her Christian tradition, and in her community. They go with the Roman tradition, and she makes a choice to lead her communities to accept that decision. I admire that she put her own ego aside when the decision came down, and she followed the Roman tradition. She must have had a bit of an ego to accomplish all that she accomplished, and yet she set it aside. She chose the good of the larger community over her own preferences and the preferences of the community that she served. And this was certainly a costly decision, to be in community, in consensus in this way. Some others protested by moving to Ireland or Iona, and Hilda was willing to obey and to change. She also organized this whole gathering, again, those administrative skills, and I hope that that inspires those of us working to prepare for diocesan convention this week, where we will no doubt make important decisions as well. And finally, I'm inspired by this. In the midst of overseeing large enterprises and leading so many important and intellectually elite people in her community, Hilda was not so distant from everyday folk that she missed raw talent when she saw it. When she learned of a cowherd who had written some poetry, she supported him in his decision, in his education, and he grew into a well-respected poet. His name was Kedmon, and in supporting Kedmon in his education and spiritual growth, she was the patron of what we now call the oldest extant Old English poetry. She supported a peasant from herding cows to creating poetry, which became a pathway for spreading the gospel to the local people through song. And evidently, song was the way to their hearts. I'll read a translation of that poem for us now. Guardian of heaven, whom we come to praise, who mapped creation in his thoughts' sinews. Glory, Father, who worked out each wonder, began with broad earth, a gift for his children. First roofed it with heaven. The holy shaper established it forever, as in the beginning, called it Middle Kingdom, fenced it with angels, created a habitation for man to praise his splendor. As we praise God today for Kedmon and Hilda and their good work, let us consider the following question in a time of silence. Of the many gifts that God has given to you, which gift might you offer now for the growth of God's community? Which gift might you offer now?